What happened with Bill here?
Look, I mean, I had 90-10 on my board every day I went to work saying it's going to happen, if not even more. I think in the very end, you have two guys who got along really well. Bill and Arthur, meeting on the yacht first, right? Beautiful yacht, by the way. I was there one time before I got fired.
Where was the yacht?
Well, I think it was down in the BVI somewhere. I don't really know, but they were hanging out, had some great discussions. But in the end, there's an inner group in there, right? Look, anytime Bill goes into an organization, you would assume whatever your thoughts are about him, he deserves the right to run it. Meaning, if there's a GM there, Terry Fontenot, Terry was going to stay, but he was going to work with him. But maybe there was a group inside the building there who kept pushing back to Arthur, saying, "Look, look, let's call it the way it is. Any organization wants to keep their world, right? Presidents want to keep their world. You saw the discussion about Rich McKay, right? Rich is very talented. He knows a lot. The fact that he and Bill would have to work together or not work together was something that wasn't probably going to happen. And Arthur had made it pretty a bold statement saying that was not an issue. And Bill had said that he was going to work ostensibly with Terry Fontenot, so that wasn't going to be an issue. But I think everyone looks at it like, yeah, but when you get someone like this in there, it's going to be overhauled.
So Arthur sided with his people versus Bill Belichick, basically. I mean, he had to make a choice.
I think in the end he has to make a choice, and he has to make a choice about what he's looking for in the approach to culture. Right? And, he brings in Raheem Morris, and I know Raheem well, right? Raheem's gregarious. He is smarter than a whip. Like, he is on top of it. If you guys ever had him interviewing, he does not miss a beat as far. He's one of those guys that never stutters for some reason. He's on top of it. So he's been there before. Arthur brings him in as an optimist because that's what he is. And so they go in now. They go in with Terry Fontenot and Raheem working together closely. They got to find a quarterback there, and I think they felt like that was the group to do it. Yeah. So
how surprised are you that there wasn't more interest in Bill overall?
Unfathomable to me. I swear to God, I am blown away. And I know and if it's your narrative, I'm sorry. There is a lazy narrative there that, okay, it's quarterback. Oh, okay, he doesn't bond with the players anymore. I can look at that, and I would look at that if I was to be an owner or a GM that was working with my owner on potentially hiring him. But I think there's so much more. I mean, he is a situational mastermind. Tactical. He has so much going for him that I've been around coaches who I really think highly of prior to being a GM, even being a GM, and I love Dan Quinn. I'm so excited that he got another gig. I think that's great for him. But I think most people would understand they're nowhere near that situational. I'm saying as the season goes on, during training camp, during game weeks, during the games, there are so few people that have that mental acuity that Bill has that you can't just get any time. Okay, people would say that, well, Bill's getting older and he doesn't respond to the players anymore like he used to. I think if you get the right coaches around you, I think you can take care of some of that, and you continue to learn and understand about that.
I don't think that's it. If you're asking my opinion, he's more trouble than he's worth. And when I say trouble, you've got to, again, I'm exaggerating a bit for effect, but you have to blow up the building.
Yep, you do.
You've got to pay out the nose. You've got to accept that you're not going to get all the information. He's not the most communicative guy, and the stories are notorious. That line that was reported that when he did the final press conference with Robert Kraft, that's the first time he drew eye contact with him in 3 years. I mean, it's notorious. He walks down the hall, it's like he doesn't even know you. You've got to accept that. You've got to accept the money you have to pay him. Did I mention that? He's going to want to bring in his own people at all levels of the organization. It's going to be a little more insular. You're not going to get communication like you once. And then in 2 or 3 years, you have to start all over because is he really a 5-year kind of plan? So at the end of the day, that situational thing you're talking about, which I don't think he's as good as he used to be, but I'll still give you, he's better than most. Mm-hmm. Is it worth all that? And that's, to me, what I think stands in the way of him.
If you think that he's going to give you the best chance to get into the Super Bowl and make a run at it, that is worth it.
For some teams, I think he makes sense more than others.
Oh yeah. No, it's a great point. And then you start thinking about a GM, right? And I've been back and forth on this. Having been in the league as 13 years in that GM role, if I had an opportunity to acquire a coach that had power about him, and I've kind of already been there, done that, having the role and being 53, total control guy, and I realized that this guy was going to be the dude that was going to take us to potentially get us to the Super Bowl, instead of like flipping around with, let's try this new, 32-year-old head coach. Don't get me started there. I'm not saying there aren't some young, good coaches, but let's keep it in perspective. It's kind of like you looking at data, right? You're like, oh my God, don't talk about data, right? I sometimes think that about some of the young coaches. Like, I want to go in there as a GM who has experience and say, let's work together and let's put our egos in check. Well, let me put my ego in check and let's roll on it.
But you did say if he was surrounded by the right coaches, then he would be able to relate to players. Do you think relatability is Bill's? This is the hang-up, why guys, GMs look at him and say, like, he's just too old? And
no, I don't. I think no. I think Bill relates to certain. This is always been my take. He relates to certain players who put their asses on the line. Can I say that?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
You can say worse.
No F. No F.
No, not that. No.
Okay. I did that with Pharrell one day, and Scotty Pharrell wanted to kick me off the set. I'm thinking, of all people, Scott Farrell's going to kick me off the set. But Bill, I think, because he respects the person that's going to put their butts on the line all the time. It's the same with the coaches that he doesn't get along with. Not saying, if you come to the table and you deliver as you're supposed to deliver, then I believe there's more collaboration. But by nature, he's not the guy that's glad-handing everyone.